Okay, so let's touch on one thing that's kind of been a controversial thing, and this has been all over the web this week. It's Bros Before Hoes. It's the trophy that they renamed to Bros Before Foes, which is actually way smarter in my opinion. And a lot of people are coming out and saying that this trophy is an indicator of the game in general just being such a misogynistic man-fest. And I've given my opinion on Tomorrow's On Night Gamer, but I just wanted to get your views, in particular Sony Boy over here.
Sony Boy.
Starting with me?
Pony Boy.
It's like Pony Boy.
Sony Boy, Pony Boy.
Yeah, I think it's honestly blown way out of proportion. I'm not sexist. I mean, obviously, I will say I'm not sexist, and just because I don't want people attacking me. But like I can honestly say that I am not sexist. But this, I don't know why this is. I'm not seeing why this is such a big deal. I mean, in the last God of War, you can literally have sex with these people with these. Whoa, timeout with women.
Yeah, but there's a difference between having sex with women and smashing their skulls.
I mean, to just put my 2 cents in, I can completely see why people have problems with this, and yeah, but I will also fully admit, I'm probably a little overly pragmatic. It didn't affect me, but what I'm a white male, right, living in Southern California. I can completely understand that it's offensive. I think it's probably worse that the joke's like 20 years old and frat boys would say it. Mm-hmm. And I can understand why people are upset. And I don't think it. Well, not to spoil the annoyed gamer, but
no.
I don't think it was a PR stunt. I think it's something that did backfire on them personally.
What I find confusing is that why are people, from what I've understood, why are people freaking out so much more about the trophy's name as opposed to what you actually do?
Right.
I can mildly.
I feel like I don't even have the context exactly of what the
mildly
situation
see
is.
why the situation is offensive. I mean, fine,
but the situation is. This is my take on it from just what I have garnered from everybody. The situation itself is offensive, but it's totally within the God of War universe. And Kratos does have sex with lots of women in the previous God of War games. This time he's putting one's head through a floor. But the whole concept of Bros Before Hoes, and it's basically what that statement says is that again, it reinforces the misogyny, but it does kind of label every woman as a whore. Basically, you have a vagina, you're a whore. It's men before women. It's protecting and that's where people are getting upset.
Yeah, I
can see why they're doing it.
It's the semiotics of the phrase. I mean, to get really into like women's issues, but I mean, it's the same. You go back to it like if you sleep around and you're a guy, you're a stud. You sleep around and a girl, you're a slut, and you can see the connotations right there. Yeah. And it kind of like people may think that doesn't matter, but how upset are you when someone orders an Irish car bomb?
Well, exactly, yeah.
And there's some people that are like would not understand that at all. But
I don't understand that.
See?
I'll send you the link to the LAist post I did.
But and I think there's some valid arguments. Like it's like, do you ever watch like Family Guy or South Park? There's also certain realms where people can be highly offensive, but in certain contexts it's funny. But if you put the certain context somewhere else, I mean, there's come on, these are all opinions and different people.
And this is, at the end of the day, we're talking about a friggin' video game, which is escapism, which is one that's set in, with characters from, lore and fantasy, different world, blah, blah, blah. I mean, how different is God of War to Game of Thrones, where, the only the girl warriors in it are the ones who are either the ginormous freaks or the ones who have to cut their hair a little and pretend to be boys.
Well, I mean, you don't want everything to be PC either, though. Yeah. I want horrible, racist, anti-hero characters. Dude, I want to be challenged.
I am not politically correct. You know
I understand, but in the end, I'm actually glad this did become an issue. I mean, and even though some part of me also does think it's blown out of proportion, I think it's good that it has been elevated, and maybe people were just trying to pick at something and it made it bigger than it had to be, making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm not quite sure. But I think it's just interesting for people to think of things just in a larger, put games into a larger context in general is always a good thing. So we don't get Jeff Keighley going on CNN and trying to explain side boob to some clueless news reporter. You know, it's a bigger picture. And you know, I know it's not for everyone. I mean, it's not going to be an issue for everyone, but I think it's important to not completely dismiss things either, because obviously, you know, we put up the brothel scene, tits sell, we know. I don't always feel good about it, but you know, we have to run a website. And there is that idea of, you know, you don't want to be a mirror that just reflects things back, but you do have to also look at what is in the news cycle and address it. And if something becomes something in the news cycle, you know.
Is this the moment in the game that caused, I think it's Adam Sessler to stop playing?
It's well, I don't think he stops playing, but I thought, you know, but Adam was disturbed by it, and Adam's been through a lot of games. And I think, you know, I don't want to go in and talk about what Adam had to say and try and get inside his head, but I think it's safe to say that nobody wants to see games sanitized. I think it's probably something where we do need to see more variety in our games. But just as you said, you know, certain games are not for everyone. I don't like God of War because I find it kind of dull and repetitive. But I can appreciate the you know, the mythos behind it and the world that it's put in. I like Game of Thrones. I like the 300. I like all that, you know, that period of time. I also like Victorian time, when again women were treated in certain ways. Doesn't make me a sexist. So I think that, you know, this is a conversation that's just going to go on for years and years. But you know, God forbid all the games start being exactly the same, because we'll just be bored shitless. I can see why women get upset. I can see why guys get upset. But the same comment I made in you know, in an Gamer, I'm going to say right now: Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, she kills hundreds and hundreds of men. Nobody's raised a peep. So
if you're gonna uproar,
he didn't say misandry, which is the opposite word for.
And I'm just throwing that out there, not to be somebody who is saying that it's good to kill only men or good to kill only women or whatever. I'm not throwing that out there.
We got to kill the space aliens and the demons.
Exactly, and the dogs with laser beams. But yeah, it's a complicated issue, and one that will go on. We're going to wrap up. I am off for the next 2 weeks. You won't see me until I think end of the first week in April. I'm going on honeymoon. So I'm sure Ryan will be filling my void next week.
Nick.
Nick? No.
Love you too. Love you too, Marcus.
Hey, I've got to give you some shit. I'm not going to see you for 2 weeks. Follow dbloodworth2 on Twitter. Nick, you on Twitter?
I'm not. It's against my religion.
He's Greek Orthodox.
No, not really. But no, I'm not on Twitter.
Okay. Other White Tofu. I'm Annoyed Gamer. There's a new pack attack, new Annoyed Gamer up this weekend. Bloodworth, you wanted to pimp something?
Backtrack is going back into effect next week, so come back next Wednesday to see Composing Bioshock. It's a really in-depth look at the score of that game, and you know, if you like our retrospectives and stuff, it's just kind of another way of looking back on a game. And we're going to do another episode on Bioshock Infinite soon after.
Ryan, any more housekeeping?
No, I think that's probably good.
All right. I'll see you guys in 3 weeks when I'm fully refreshed from my trip back to the homeland. Invisible Walls is gone. Bye.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.